Tonight, the election campaigns wind down and Alberta voters prepare to decide.
Family doctor availability.
Mostly just economics.
Trying to get fewer kids per class.
The policies, the politics, and what Alberta's choice will mean for Canada. How a landlord and tenant dispute led to the deaths of 3 people.
I heard this scream, like a gut-curling scream, and after that, one single fire.
The story of Imelda Marcos with a disco theme and an all-Filipino cast.
It's kind of unprecedented, so it's something that I felt incredibly proud of.
This is The National with Ian Henemansing.
We are in Edmonton in front of the Alberta Legislature. In just a few hours, polls will open, and tonight we will have extensive coverage of this important election. But we want to begin with a developing story on the other side of the country. A raging wildfire has forced the urgent evacuation of several communities near Halifax. As cars clogged the roads, smoke filled the skies. Officials say at least 10 homes have already been lost. Kate McKenna has the latest.
Plumes of smoke caused by a fire that ignited only this afternoon. It's out of control, and so far, it's been devastating.
This fire has damaged several homes and properties. The count of the properties and the extent to which they're damaged is not yet known.
Tens of thousands of people already forced to evacuate, the number growing by the hour. Evacuation centers already set up.
We just heard on the radio that there was a fire. And then as we got closer to home, we could see the smoke, and it's incredible. And it's across the road. We're sort of the subdivision across the road.
This fire started about a half hour west of Halifax in Upper Tantallon. It's been moving east. Entire subdivisions are evacuated, and others nearby, like Taylor Martin, anticipate being told they'll need to leave.
Honestly, my partner and I were just sitting on the couch earlier today and were talking about the weather, and then had noted that there was no clouds in the sky, and then just saw this very large, what we at first thought was a cloud, but ended up being just a huge cloud of smoke.
Officials say help is coming in the form of water tankers from Newfoundland and New Brunswick. But there are concerns about the number of fires in the Maritimes so far this season.
Yeah, so this season so far, we've had 176 wildfires. Compared to last season, we only had 70 wildfires.
With no rain in the forecast and multiple out-of-control fires in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, officials warn these conditions are primed for more fires. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
So let's turn to the story here in Alberta on the eve of Election Day. Polls suggesting it is very close. Will Albertans re-elect a United Conservative Party government or hand control to the NDP? A lot of people across the country are watching closely because what happens here will have an impact nationally. And when the votes get tallied tomorrow night, people will be watching one place very closely, Calgary. And that's where Aaron Collins is tonight. Aaron, the push is on there to get out the vote.
Ian, this really is battleground Alberta, where an unusually close provincial election here in Alberta is likely going to be decided. Spring is in the air in Calgary. A sunny Sunday off for most. Time for a trip to the park, not politics.
It's just cool to just chill and relax and do nothing. Watch your kids do their thing.
Still, a tight race means the ups and downs of the campaign are unavoidable, even here.
Healthcare is obviously, I think, a huge front runner for us, and family doctor availability.
Mostly just economics, and we want to make sure that the province stays in good economic health.
Obviously, more spending on education, trying to get fewer kids per class.
It's not a day off for the politicians hoping to win. Rachel Notley campaigning in Calgary over the weekend. Notley's NDP need to win big here to have a chance of forming government.
Alberta is going to choose a better future and a better government.
The United Conservatives' Danielle Smith also needs as many seats as possible here to come out on top.
Every single vote is going to make a difference on Election Day.
Prominent Conservatives turning up on social media to make a final push for Calgary UCP candidates.
In Calgary, Acadia, get out to the polls on Monday and please re-elect Tyler Shandro.
Polls in recent days suggest the UCP may be edging ahead, but most political watchers say it's still very close in battleground Calgary.
I think it's going to come down to voter turnout, and so that's where the ground game comes in. The so-called ground game means going out and getting your voters to make it to the polls and make sure they vote for you.
But after a rough and tumble campaign, the focus here on moving forward, no matter who wins.
We're all have the right to our own opinions, and I think we'd be better off if we all listen to each other a little bit more.
Election day here in Calgary and across Alberta takes flight Monday.
So, Aaron, Calgary is the key to victory for both parties. Walk us through why.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. So here's the math there. The NDP, they're expected to sweep Edmonton. The UCP, they're expected to dominate in all of the rural ridings. That leaves Calgary, right? So whoever wins in Calgary, they're expected to have a big win tomorrow night. Now that's a tough job for the NDP. They need to make up big ground from 2019. As for the UCP, they really just need to hold on to about half of the seats they won last time out.
Thanks, Aaron.
You bet.
Chief political correspondent Rosemary Barton is also in Calgary tonight. Rosie, obviously a big decision ahead for Albertans, but how will it affect the rest of the country?
Yeah, on a couple of fronts, I think, Ian. First, policy and politics. Let's start with the policy challenges for the federal government, energy development and climate change, and Ottawa's goals that need some degree of buy-in from Alberta when it comes to specific policies. Let's take the carbon tax or the cap on emissions from the oil and gas sector that we're going to see in a number of weeks. That will make a difference who wins. Danielle Smith has not only made her opposition to a carbon tax clear, but she's also said she will take issue with any federal legislation or policy that would impact the oil and gas development in this province. Rachel Notley supports the federal carbon tax, but has said Ottawa is moving too quickly on other things, on cutting emissions overall, on the cap, for instance. She's not against that in principle, so long as it's done in collaboration with the province and is achievable for the industry. Smith, though, has threatened to take the federal government to court if she thinks the cap is too severe. So some of the federal Liberal goals are really dependent on Alberta going along with some of these policies, and it really comes down to which leader would be more difficult to work with.
Okay, Rosie, and what about the politics?
I mean, that's pretty straightforward here, Ian. No Alberta Premier is going to sit back and let Ottawa do what it wants. That doesn't happen. But I think clearly Danielle Smith has shown she will be more challenging and perhaps less predictable, though both she and Notley have both at least raised the issue of the province's relationship to the Canada Pension Plan, for instance. So this really comes down to Ottawa having to deal with a leader who starts from a more combative position or a more collaborative one not better than the other. But Justin Trudeau has managed to work with a lot of premiers over his time in office, and there's no concern from that side anyway that will change after tomorrow's election.
Always nice to have you on the program, Rosemary. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
And CBC News will have live coverage of the election night results featuring analysis from experts, perspectives from Albertans, and of course, those real-time results. That starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on CBC News Network. To Ontario now, where 3 people are dead after what police call a landlord-tenant dispute. They say those tenants, a man and woman in their 20s, engaged to be married, were killed as they tried to run away. Mike Crawley is in Hamilton tonight, where he spoke with neighbors who spent hours in fear.
A dramatic standoff as police surround a house in East Hamilton. A gunman barricaded inside, while outside lay the bodies of his 2 victims.
They were observed by witnesses fleeing the house, and they were killed outside of the residence. They were running away.
I heard this scream, like a gut-curdling scream, and after that, one single fire.
We heard people out here yelling and screaming that a woman with a purple shirt was lying on the ground, lifeless.
The Hamilton Police Tactical Unit surrounded the scene.
Police got out with weapons. One was crouched down here and went on our lawn, and it was a little frightening because we didn't know what was going on at all.
As dusk approached, police negotiators were in contact with the shooter, the couple's 57-year-old landlord.
I can tell you that our negotiators certainly did the best they could to try to negotiate a peaceful resolution here.
But the standoff would not end peacefully.
there was an exchange of gunfire between the man and a police officer. The man was struck and he was pronounced deceased at the scene.
Police have not named the shooter. They say multiple legal weapons were registered at his address, including handguns and rifles.
Well, I know his name's Terry Barassa. He was very quiet man.
As for the victims, police say they're a 28-year-old man who was an electrician and a 27-year-old woman who was an educational assistant for a Catholic school board.
These are not people that this should happen to. They're not involved in any level of criminality or lifestyle that may lead to an incident like this. They're truly innocent victims, hardworking people, young people. They were engaged to be married, and this is a very tragic incident.
Mike, such a gripping and unsettling story. What happens next?
Well, Ian, Ontario's Independent Special Investigations Unit, they're going to probe how Hamilton police handled this standoff. And the police, well, they're going to try to answer the question that everybody in this neighborhood is asking right now, which is, how is it possible that a landlord-tenant dispute could have turned so deadly?
Mike Crawley in Hamilton, Ontario tonight. Thanks. In Turkey tonight, longtime leader Tayyip Erdogan has prevailed in the presidential runoff, stretching his rule into a third decade. As Barry Stewart explains, that has implications far beyond Turkey's borders.
This was the first of two victory speeches by Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The second in front of a massive, enthusiastic crowd in Ankara, where he proclaimed Turkey was the real winner. Erdogan, who has already ruled the country for 20 years, won another 5-year term after narrowly beating a 6-party opposition alliance in a runoff. We experienced the most unfair election in recent years, said opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. After Erdogan cast his ballot this morning, he handed out cash to some of his supporters, who believe that Erdogan is the best choice to fix Turkey's financial crisis and make the country into a great power. Erdogan is a world leader, says this man. There's nothing else to say.
Making Turkey great again has an appeal.
His win means the country's somewhat fractious relationship with NATO will continue.
So geopolitically, I think he will see this as a public support for the idea of a Turkey that's non-aligned, no longer a member of the transatlantic community, but a country that also deals with Russia, deals with its own regional partners.
While Erdogan has been praised for his work in helping to negotiate with Ukraine and Russia to secure the Black Sea grain deal, he's also blocked Sweden's NATO bid, demanding the country take a harsher stance on individuals Turkey sees as terrorists. Some Western officials have expressed concerns about Turkey's growing economic ties with Russia. Russia's President Vladimir Putin congratulated his dear friend Erdogan on the win. Ukraine's president did the same thing, but used very different language, saying he hoped both countries could cooperate when it comes to the security and stability of Europe. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Russia has launched the largest drone attack on Ukraine's capital since the war began. It happened just as residents prepared to mark Kyiv Day. At least one person is dead, another injured. As Susanna De Silva shows, experts are worried that much more devastation is coming.
The skies over Kyiv lit up as one after another Russian attack drones were met by Ukrainian air defenses. More than 36 shot down, according to the Ukrainian government. And despite the effectiveness of those defenses against what Ukrainian officials called Russia's largest drone attack yet, it still brought death and destruction. People are in shock. The damage was severe, says this man whose house was hit by falling debris. The Russians are destroying and intimidating us, he says. There were fires and damage at several locations, leaving at least one person dead. Most of the destruction was averted and lives saved, said Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, noting the attack came just as the capital was preparing to celebrate the anniversary of its founding. Small-scale celebrations that still continued.
Kyiv is what gives me strength. Look around, like there are a lot of people today. I haven't seen this much people like since the beginning of the full-scale invasion.
We try to live our lives because we can not have it tomorrow. So we should live today.
The drone attack comes as Ukraine says it is preparing a counteroffensive.
Tactics from the Russian side is wear out, strip down the Ukrainian air defense, and disrupt preparations for the Ukrainian offensive.
Russia is 16 times bigger than Ukraine. We have enormous resources, and we hasn't just started yet to act very seriously.
Experts worry about what that means.
Both sides have everything riding on this. So I think we'll see the bloodiest fighting is yet to come.
With no signs, an end is in sight. Susana da Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
The city of Venice, famous for its canals, is shrouded in mystery tonight. Police investigating why the water in a section of the main canal turned a bright emerald green. Authorities have collected water samples and they're examining closed-circuit video images. Some suspect it was a stunt to promote a regatta. Others wonder if it's part of an environmental protest. In the U.S. tonight, Republican and Democratic lawmakers are poring over a 99-page bill. It contains the details of a tentative deal to raise the country's debt ceiling and avert what the U.S. president says would be a catastrophic default. Joe Biden says he'll sign it, but first it needs congressional approval. The CBC's Magda Gebersalasa is in Washington with the road ahead.
Are you confident this deal will get to your debt?
Yes.
A confident Joe Biden says the debt ceiling deal will pass. The details include lifting the borrowing limit until after the 2024 election and rolling back some IRS funding and unspent COVID money.
It takes the threat of catastrophic default off the table, protects our hard-earned and historic economic recovery.
Republican House Leader Kevin McCarthy says it's a step in the right direction.
America believes that we've spent too much, so this spends less.
But the deal comes with criticism from both sides. Some conservatives say it will add trillions of dollars of debt with minimal spending restrictions, while some Democrats worry about a detail that limits access to some government aid like food stamps by expanding work requirements.
We've seen reams of data that show that when you put these work requirements in, they're really just administrative red tape that prevent the people who need help from getting help.
But the deal had to get done, and some say it's a win for all Americans.
For American people, they're going to be like, I don't understand half of the things that are going on in this debate. However, I do know if we default, the stock market's going to go down. Right. Things are going to get more difficult for my pocketbook. I'm going to see my investments plummet.
Lawmakers in the House and the Senate have a few days to look over the details before it goes to a vote. Democratic and Republican leadership seem confident it will go through, so Biden can sign the bill and put an end to the debt ceiling crisis. Magda Gebersalasa, CBC News, Washington.
I spoke to some voters in a riding just outside Edmonton to get a sense of how they're deciding who to vote for.
The divisiveness is the part that turns me off.
The issues and the leaders swaying voters in Alberta's capital. After years of deadly drought, Somalia now faces devastating floods.
This crisis is not a Somali crisis, but it's a global crisis.
Why climate experts say the world needs to help. And a new Broadway show breaks new barriers.
This is the first time I'm getting to play my own heritage.
We're back in 2. And that was takeoff for China's first domestically developed passenger jet. The C919 made its maiden flight from Shanghai to Beijing this morning, receiving a water salute right after touching down. The new aircraft seats 164 passengers, and it's set to compete against Airbus and Boeing in the global market. The man who opened an emergency exit door as a flight was preparing to land in South Korea has now been charged. The 33-year-old told police he felt suffocated and wanted to get off the plane quickly. If convicted, he faces up to 10 years in prison. Somalia continues to bear the brunt of extreme weather. Last year it was drought. This year, flash floods. Now, as the country teeters on the brink of famine, there are growing calls for Canada to step up its aid. Ithil Musa explains.
The crisis began with a drought, not uncommon in Somalia, but experts say the world's changing climate turned last year's into the longest and most severe in the country's history.
Somalia is a very small country, and the country is not contributing to the climate change. But it's the country who is paying the heaviest price in terms of the effects of the climate change.
The drought displaced millions and killed more than 40,000 people in 2022 alone. Half those fatalities were children under the age of 5. There were prayers for rain, but another nightmare unfolded this year: flash floods. Heavy rainfall in the Horn of Africa caused the Shabelle River in central Somalia to break its banks. It's a divine calamity, says Ali Osman Hussein, an unexpected disaster. The spring flood waters washed away homes, crops, and livestock and killed at least 22 people. The fear now is that Somalia is on the brink of famine.
This crisis is not a Somali crisis, but it's a global crisis.
Issa says wealthy countries like Canada need to help Somalia find ways to adapt to extreme weather conditions. Some Somali Canadians are stepping up to help by sending even more money than usual to desperate family members.
I used to send maybe $200, $300. Now you have to double that money because the need is that greater.
This week, Canada announced additional humanitarian assistance for Ethiopia and Somalia, bringing its total contribution to the region to more than $98 million. Still, the need is overwhelming. The UN is appealing to wealthy nations for at least $7 billion in humanitarian aid. So far, they've pledged about a third of that. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
Here at home, a tornado touched down last night south of Regina. It happened about 6 kilometers southeast of the city. Meteorologists say it was not severe. No damage was reported. There were severe thunderstorms across southern Saskatchewan, which flooded some intersections and underpasses in Regina. Across Alberta, many voters are still undecided on who to choose to lead the province.
For a lot of Albertans, they don't have a home. The UCP is too far right for them. The NDP is too far left.
Why it could come down to just a few seats in Calgary. But one issue is on the minds of many voters.
The divisiveness is the part that turns me off.
I want to see unity, like in people, like let's bring Alberta up.
A political watcher joins us to discuss why this election seems so polarizing. The National takes you deeper into the stories shaping your world. Next. Well, here's a look at Alberta's legislature from above, the place candidates from across the province have been fighting to get into. After 28 days of campaigning, Monday is Election Day. The election is about policy and the economy, but it's also about the province's identity and how Albertans will be seen by the rest of Canada. As you saw earlier, Calgary has been consistently identified as the battleground, and that's where David Common went.
For nearly all of the last 50 years, Alberta has elected Conservative governments. But more recently, the province has not been all that kind to Conservative premiers.
Welcome to Ralph's world.
Since Ralph Klein retired 17 years ago, not a single one of his Conservative successors have yet lasted a full term, eaten by controversy, often their own party, or voters. Danielle Smith wants to change that, wants to stop a former premier, the NDP's Rachel Notley, who did manage a full term, from a return to power. Too close to call, or are you ready to make the prediction?
I think there is an easier path to victory for one party than there is for the other.
Janet Brown's latest poll shows the UCP on the cusp of a majority.
You know, when you ask people where they are on the political spectrum, most Albertans tell you they're in the middle.
So where's their home today?
Well, for a lot of Albertans, they don't have a home. The UCP is too far right for them. The NDP is too far left. And they're feeling like orphans. These are people who you know, politics was easy for them for many, many years. They just voted PC by default. And now it's not so easy for them to make that choice.
Not so easy for numerous reasons. Neither party wants to rein in spending, while Smith's short tenure as premier has featured controversy after controversy. Alberta's ethics commissioner recently ruling that she broke the law, communicating with the Attorney General over criminal charges faced by an anti-COVID restrictions preacher. Yet Smith's personal approval rating has crept up during the campaign.
But if you're the NDP and you can't win against Danielle Smith and the turmoil that has been her premiership, who can you win against?
Oh, that'll be the question that everybody asks if Rachel Notley doesn't win this election.
It's going to come down to maybe 4 or 5 key seats here in Calgary. As a Calgarian, I love that fact.
It is a question Jeremy Farkas is asking. He's conservative, but no fan of Danielle Smith's.
And you had the chance to run in this election for the UCP. You chose not to.
I chose not to.
He still thinks the UCP is in a strong position to win, but that may not be enough for Smith to survive.
There are many candidates who are actually at the doors today saying, well, you may not like Danielle Smith, but don't worry, just vote for us and we'll get rid of her later, which is just
even if she wins?
Even if she wins, which is an absolutely insane thing.
So even if Danielle Smith wins the election, wins a majority, she might not finish the term?
Well, when you think about Conservative premiers over the last several decades, it's very few of them who've actually finished an entire term. It really highlights the fact that this group is very eager and willing to depose her.
If far-right Conservatives would keep a re-elected Smith on a short leash, a defeated Rachel Notley may not choose to go, but likely wouldn't be forced out either.
But when you put Danielle versus Rachel in a head-to-head matchup, Rachel's popularity is so much stronger. So in terms of future leadership prospects, I think the NDP organizers know that Rachel right now is their best possible asset.
And so are more likely to keep her.
And more likely to keep her.
So who gets to decide? Well, like a lot of elections, it comes down to one key geographic area. And in this election, that battleground is Calgary.
NDP is probably going to sweep Edmonton. The UCP is probably going to win most of the seats outside of the 2 big cities. So it's really about, you know, some critical seats in Calgary and watching how they go.
And Calgary's demographics are shifting as the city has become ever more diverse. Red FM radio personality Regina is a go-to for politicians of all stripes, provincial and federal. He knows how key Calgary will be in deciding this election.
Okay, thank you.
After his show, we met for lunch in the city's northeast, an area he says the governing UCP doesn't need to win.
And they need only 5, 6, 7 seats in Calgary, and they are concentrating on that.
That doesn't mean people in this community are happy with the NDP either. He says neither party has done enough to help skilled immigrants get foreign work credentials accepted.
So people are educated, but they are on low-paying jobs. So that issue is again coming up. Every election it comes up. Oh, we will do for the educational qualification equivalence, we will do this, or we will do. Never has been done by any party. Neither the NDP did anything on this issue, nor the UCP did anything on this issue.
It's all a good reminder that as much as political leaders and pundits may want to make this all about competing visions for the future and vastly different governing styles, for many voters, it's everyday issues they most want to hear about.
So the race is tight in Calgary, but according to Janet Brown, who you saw in David's story, polling numbers released on Friday and commissioned by CBC News give Smith's UCP a slight lead in that city, 49% versus 46% for Rachel Notley's NDP. But what are voters thinking just hours before polls open? The issues at the center of this election next, and a little later.
I feel like I don't have to hide. I feel like I don't have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not.
A new musical breaks a glass ceiling for actors on Broadway. Stay with us. Welcome back to Edmonton. We're just outside the Alberta legislature on the eve of Election Day in this province, a province that historically leans conservative, though the NDP did win in 2015 when the vote was split among three parties. There's certainly a contender right now. Just a handful of votes could make a big difference. Let's bring in writer and Alberta political watcher Dave Cournoyer. We just heard in David Common's piece about the city of Calgary. Definitely the two main parties understand its importance.
If there's going to be a change in government in Alberta on election night, it's going to happen because seats flipped in Calgary, and both Danielle Smith and the UCP know that, and Rachel Notley know that. And that's why the two leaders have spent so much time during this campaign in Calgary, focused on Calgary issues, focused on their candidates, getting their ground game ready, because that's really where it's going to change. That's where the seats available to the NDP are to form government.
You mentioned change, but you were saying to me earlier, the biggest surprise for you about this campaign has been how things really didn't change in terms of polling numbers during the campaign.
You know, going back all the way to last November when Danielle Smith became leader of the UCP, she was able to pull the UCP back up in support. It plummeted under Jason Kenney's leadership. Since November, there's been a little bit of back and forth movement, 2 or 3 points, 4 points between the UCP and the NDP.
All right, so Calgary, we know, will be critical. There are also some ridings around Edmonton that also may lead to change, the so-called Edmonton donut, and one of those is Sherwood Park. I went there a couple of days ago to talk to voters, basically to ask them a simple question: who are you voting for and why? Have you made up your mind yet?
I sway back and forth. You know, there's different things about each party that I like, but the divisiveness is the part that turns me off. It makes you want you don't want to vote, but I can't complain if I don't vote. So.
Yeah. So I mean, you're running out of time to make a decision. What do you think is going to tip the balance for you?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'll do like I've probably done in the past. I'll decide when I'm standing in the poll booth which way I'm going to go. Sometimes it's a flip of a coin because it's, and I hear this from so many people, and the part I hate about it most is that we're always voting for the least worst option.
Have you made up your mind yet?
I'm fairly certain, yeah.
And can I ask you who you're supporting?
Danielle Smith.
And why?
We're predominantly oil field employed for my whole life, so we're heavy into the natural resources in Alberta. So we enjoy her perspective on that, I guess.
So for you, it was a vote against Rachel Notley. What about voting for Danielle Smith? Anything about her that you liked or maybe didn't like?
Yeah, she stands up to Ottawa. Like, she's got, pardon the pun, but set to stand up to what's going on down east there with the kind of corrupt government we got. That's, you know, I didn't vote for Mr. Singh there with the NDP, definitely not. And look what we got. So I think a vote for Rachel is a vote for the NDP and to help prop up the federal guys, right?
Personally, I find Danielle just the girl for Alberta.
And in what way? What are the things about her that you like?
It's really hard to think about exactly why. I've just always been conservative. Yeah, always been a conservative person.
This is a province where a lot of people have voted Conservative or UCP for a long time. Are you one of those people?
Yes.
So that would be a big change to switch over to the NDP. Do you think that there's even a chance you might do that?
Yeah, I'm going that way. I'm thinking changing my political view on that. So yeah, I'm going to NDP probably, most likely.
What would your friends and family think if they knew you were thinking about voting for the NDP?
My family's kind of going that way too, I think. So they're kind of on my side too. Yeah, we're doing the switch here, I think. Going NDP, I think, so that's my choice.
Have you made up your mind yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't really looked into it too much, but maybe I'll start looking into it now.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know. I'm just lazy, I guess. I don't know. I'll try to, maybe look into it, but I don't know. I just haven't had much time, so.
And among your friends, are they talking about the election much?
Not much, no. It's not really that big for us.
But what's important for you guys as you make up your minds? What's the issue for you?
Ooh, I know a really big one is with the privatization of the healthcare system that Danielle Smith is talking about, and that's kind of a little scary for me because I have some parents that are getting older and stuff, and everyone has medical needs that you don't anticipate.
I want to see unity, like in people. Like, let's bring Alberta up. Let's not drag it down with fighting words and backstabbing and little jibs and jabs at each other. So, Rachel, you can do it.
So you're voting for the Alberta Party?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You're the first person I've talked to today who said that. Why the Alberta Party?
To me, they're the only choice out here in Sherwood Park. And like I say, I've always voted PC, and I'm just tired of the results that, or the outcome with what's happened in the past with their previous leadership.
But not enough to get you all the way to voting NDP.
I could never vote NDP, never.
That guy was interesting, right? He won't vote UCP, he won't vote NDP. Actually, I found all of those answers interesting as you kind of probe a little bit as to why people are making their decisions. What did you make of what you heard?
I think that's pretty reflective of where I think a lot of Albertans are, and especially in swing ridings like Sherwood Park that might go either way in this election. People are either firmly UCP supporters, firmly NDP supporters, and then there's this group of undecided voters. Many of them are people who voted Conservative in the last election, voted for the UCP. They're not really too excited about Danielle Smith. They don't really know where to place their vote. Some people will vote for the Alberta Party, where there are Alberta Party candidates. The other parties aren't, other than the two main parties, the other parties aren't running full slates. So in some ridings, people don't really have that choice. But for those undecided Conservative voters, that's a big question. Can they make the leap and vote NDP? And for a lot of former Conservative voters, that is a big leap.
Getting out the vote is really important in every election. What's maybe a little more complicated here is that it isn't just parties trying to get their traditional supporters out. Like, how does the NDP get a disaffected Conservative voter out to the polls? So they're going to have to just hope, I guess, that those voters are motivated enough to come out and vote for them.
This entire NDP campaign in this election has been designed purposely around trying to get support from moderate Conservative voters in this province. This is not your grandfather's NDP. They've purposely gone out and recruited candidates who have backgrounds in economic development, have backgrounds in energy, because they know that their path to victory in ridings like Sherwood Park, in cities like Calgary, is by attracting moderate Conservative voters, moderate voters who might not like what they think the traditional NDP stands for. So they've really been trying to position themselves as centrists, put out centrist type policies that appeals to these voters.
A CBC Commission poll on Friday showed the UCP appears to be in the lead province-wide. They seem to be in pretty good shape. So let me ask you, we have about 20 seconds. What's going to happen tomorrow?
The UCP has always had an edge on the NDP. It's always going to be, no matter what happens on election night, it was always going to be a narrow path to victory for the NDP through Calgary and through those ridings around Edmonton. And this is Alberta. Never bet against the Conservatives.
All right, David Cornway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And a reminder, CBC News will have live election coverage tomorrow night on CBC News Network. It begins at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Next, a Canadian woman is now the fastest 96-year-old in the world.
Just the age, it's just a number, as far as I'm concerned.
Her determination and the support from the sidelines is our moment. An all-Filipino cast will break ground on Broadway this summer in a reboot of the political disco drama Here Lies Love. It's about the tumultuous rise and fall of former Filipino First Lady Imelda Marcos. Chris Reyes spoke to the leading actors about their history-making moment.
From the first introduction of Here Lies Love, the atmosphere was downright fam jam. No doubt a big part of that family feel that this entire cast is Filipino, a first for Broadway. Here Lies Love opened off-Broadway in 2013, but not with this historic casting. Tony winner Lea Salonga, Broadway's biggest Filipino star, is both acting and producing on the show. She helped with finding all that Filipino talent.
I need a minute to process this because it's never been seen before. It's kind of unprecedented. So it's something that I felt incredibly proud of.
Salonga was cast as the original Miss Saigon more than 30 years ago, playing a Vietnamese girl. She knows too well that roles for Filipino actors on Broadway have been limited.
I was in for a rude awakening when I was told that I couldn't audition for certain shows because of my racial background.
That experience echoed by the rest of the cast. For them, this show is overdue.
Why did it take this long? It's about time. I wonder
Right?
what your reaction to it is.
I'm the same way.
Here Lies Love was conceived by musicians David Byrne and Fatboy Slim and writer Alex Timbers. But it is a Filipino story, a disco-themed musical about former Philippines First Lady Imelda Marcos, wife of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos, and their rise and fall from power.
This is the first time I've getting to play my own heritage, so I feel like I don't have to hide. I feel like I don't have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not.
While the show is being celebrated for making history, some critics have called it a too glossy retelling of the Marcoses' violent and criminal past.
We're showing the party that the Marcoses had for 20 years, but we're also telling a story about how the hangover happened after that party, after they switched the lights on in the disco.
Despite the controversies, for now, this cast is celebrating history and the promise it brings.
It's really exciting to see what is now possible.
A first for Broadway, but also a blooming of Filipino talent taking center stage.
It's more fun where?
In the Philippines! Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Canada has won gold at the Men's World Hockey Championship, defeating Germany.
And Sider actually brings it out, and the Germans have to tag back up. Play it ahead for Quinn. Chips it back for Lawton. Scott Lawton scores! 5-2 Canada.
That final goal coming late in the game with the German net empty. This is Canada's second gold in the last 3 years. The 2022 team lost the gold medal game to Finland. Latvia beat the U.S. for this year's bronze, the country's first medal ever at these championships. And here's another golden moment. Regina Fairhead taking off in a 5-kilometer race in Ottawa this weekend at 96 years old. But that's not the only thing that made the race extraordinary. Fairhead not only finished, she set a new world record, completing the race faster than anyone else in her age category and smashing the old record by nearly 5 minutes. Tonight, her achievement makes our moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, your world record right here.
Well, I'm proud of it. I mean, just the age, it's just a number, as far as I'm concerned.
I've never ran a whole race with goosebumps the entire time. Like, everybody was cheering. We would come up and they would see the sign and all the crowds would start screaming and yelling, and Reg would take off and I would be a little bit nervous. She was going too quick, but she did wonderful.
But I have inspired a lot of people, which is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
The support I had was fabulous. People I don't even know.
So this year we knew the record was 55, so we just had a pace we needed to go out and do, and we had a plan, and with a quantitative goal in mind, she killed it.
They got after me, they said, you know, you can beat the record because I was only 3 minutes off, so that's why I tried it. And I'm glad it's over, now I can go back to normal life.
So the world record, kind of the icing on the cake, just to do a 5-kilometer race at the age of 96, almost like the definition of a successful life. Really impressive. That is the National for May the 28th. Thanks for being with us. Have a good night.